Good morning and welcome to the Mayor's News Conference. This week for our agenda, we'll be focusing on our initiative on strengthening police and community partnerships update, and I will now turn it over to the Mayor.
Thank you, Renee. Good morning, everyone. I'm very proud that early last year, Erie was chosen by Charles Phillips from the U.S. Department of Justice as the national pilot for the Strengthening Police Community Partnerships program. The purpose of Strengthening Police Community Partnerships is to build better relationship between police and the citizens, especially minorities who often feel estranged from a largely white police force. We worked for months with Charles Phillips and members of his staff to plan how to build better community police relationships. This work culminated in a day-long meeting on Saturday, April 21st, 2018. We thank Mercyhurst President Michael Victor and his staff for providing use of the Mercyhurst Little Theater for our large group meeting, also 7 classrooms for our breakout meetings, and for providing lunch for 100 people, all free of charge. We recruited participants from the following 7 groups in the Erie community: New Americans, African Americans, the Erie Police, the business community, religious leaders, social service providers, and youth from Erie's public schools. We had a total of approximately 80 people participating. Here's how the day went. After an introduction in the Mercyhurst Little Theater, we explained to all participants that our goal was to build better relationships between the community and the Erie Police. Each group was sent to a classroom. They were asked to do 2 things. First, tell us about your positive interactions and relationship with the Erie Police. And second, identify any issues that you've had in your relationship with the Erie Police. We then regrouped in the Mercyhurst Little Theater, where a spokesperson for each group presented their results. Each participant then placed priority stickers on the areas of concern that they felt were the most important. While the participants had lunch, the organizers identified the following top issues that we need to address to improve police-community relations. First, education, cultural awareness, and sensitivity. Second, racism and stereotypes. Third, making the Erie Police Department truly representative of the entire community. Fourth, building trust and approachability. And fifth, issues with family structure and parental control. After lunch, we presented the morning results and formed new groups that were composed from at least 1 member of each of the 7 original groups. These new diverse groups were then sent back to the classrooms to brainstorm solutions to those top issues. The afternoon began a powerful relationship building process that continues to this day. Now I'm going to turn it over to Michael Outlaw, our community liaison, who led this initiative, to share how the SPCP process continues to grow and evolve. Michael? Sure.
Good morning. All right. So the SPCP Council consists of a diverse group of representatives, approximately 2 from each homogeneous groups. And we've met monthly with law enforcement officials to make sure we continue the process for the SPCP Council. We are working together to implement solutions that were identified on the event on April 21st. One of the solutions or issues of concerns was education, culture awareness, and sensitivity. Dr. Paris Baker facilitated the diversity training with members of the EPD and the SPCP Council. And we would like to thank District Attorney Jack Danieri for sponsoring the training. We invite Jack Danieri and Eric Baker to come up and say a few words. Jack? Eric.
The public wants to know that they're being listened to, and the public wants to know that something is being done. Both of those things, I don't think you can deny with the mayor's administration and Michael Outlaw and the City of Erie Police, that's exactly what's being undertaken. You hear the word task. That's correct. It's a task. The relationship or poor relationship, let's say, between the City of Erie Police and parts of the community did not happen overnight. It will not be fixed overnight, but we all recognize that. In this room, where the SPCP meetings take place with between 20 and 30 people on any given month, we all recognize that. And yet we come in, no fanfare, just sit around the table and, understanding that task, move to get things done in a variety of ways. The diversity training was only one of those ways. There's more to come. But I thought, as a district attorney, it was extremely important because although you might say, well, how is the district attorney's office really affected with the boots on the ground individuals from our police force and a, let's say, tense community relation? How does the DA's office really get affected? You're on the 5th floor of the Erie County Courthouse. Well, there's a direct trickle down, if that's be an oxymoron, but there is a direct effect, because when that relationship deteriorates and the people in this community do not trust law enforcement, as they've told us last year that was a problem, and let's be clear, it's a problem that goes both ways. This is a problem that shall be fixed from both directions. So the community, they need to be invested in improving those relations too, and that's what we have in this room each month, getting those messages. But back to the point of how is law enforcement, how's the district attorney's office affected? Well, when the individuals in the community who see crimes or are victims of crimes need to cooperate with the police and say what they saw, who it was that shot them, who it was that broke into their home and victimized them and their families, when we do not get that cooperation, and the reason for not giving law enforcement the cooperation varies, but it's typically, I don't trust the system, I fear retaliation, I don't think the police are good for this situation, for me and my family. That needs improvement. So, and when we don't get that in the district attorney's office, our cases fail because we don't have witnesses, or we have witnesses that no longer wish to cooperate for whatever reason. So there's a direct effect between the community relations with law enforcement and the district attorney's office and how we prosecute cases. So that's why I thought not only being part of the SPCP Council and listening to the individuals from the community that come in and express themselves, and we work on ideas, and again, we understand our task. Not only was it important to be here, it's also important to, again, as some would say, put the money where the mouth is. And so in this particular case, we had training from Dr. Paris Baker with Gannon University, who has provided diversity training for the Erie Police Force in the past. And someone suggested, well, how about the council undergo the diversity training? So, and I thought that was a great idea, because the people from the community could see and kind of talk through their own biases, the biases they have maybe against the police force and law enforcement, because as I said, this is a two-way street, right? The community has to be invested to work on their implicit bias or direct bias towards law enforcement. So only good could come from that training, and I thought it was important then to pony up on behalf of law enforcement and I guess subsidize that training. So not only did I attend the training session one weekend, I also, our office also footed the bill for the Dr. Baker's time and efforts, but also the lunches that were provided. So it was my pleasure to do that, so thank you. Yeah.
On behalf, my name is Eric Baker, by the way, and on behalf of my brother, Dr. Paris Baker, greatly appreciate the effort that we're making as far as making this community a stronger bond with the police and the community, because that's what we need. You know, we don't want the community to be afraid of the police, and we don't want the police to be afraid of the community. So on behalf of him, we just want to thank you and Gannon University for this opportunity to create a stronger diversity for each other. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Eric Baker and District Attorney Jack Danieri again. So a couple more areas of issues and concerns that were identified was racisms and stereotypes. So what we did was to put that into its proper context. A group of us from the SPCP Council and members of City Hall, we went to see the Spike Lee movie, The Black KK Klansman, and together we had honest conversation, and we were able to talk about the blind spots that we all have. So imagine sitting in the movie theater with white American, New American, and African Americans, and you're hearing these derogatory terms that are often used towards people of color. But we were able to sit through the movie, watch the movie, and then again have honest dialogue with not ascribing those slurs towards particular individuals or individuals within a group. So basically what I'm trying to say is that we were able to watch the movie and enjoy the movie in its proper context without being offended with the person sitting next to us. So which is, I think if we begin to have those type of events and conversations amongst ourselves and be honest, we can kind of get rid of the elephant in the room and move forward as a community. Another area of concern or issue we identified was EPD being more representative of the community that it serves. So we are currently working on minority recruitment plans for the police department and the fire department. We working with the Erie School District to create prep courses for the fire department and the police department. And we're also working with Aaron to create marketing strategies and trainings for the agility portion of the test, both departments, police department as well as the fire department again. Another issue was trust and approachability. To address this effort, we had community building relationships by letting officers know the community that they serve. And this was accomplished through the Coffee with the Cop initiative, which is a national initiative. We had our first one this year at Ember and Forge. I believe it was a great success. It afforded opportunities for, again, officers and community members to have a conversation. And to be completely transparent, even though I operate in this capacity with the city as a community liaison, and I've been working with officers over the last 3-4 years within the city, there's still that level of discomfort, like when you don't know officers and to approach them. But once we had that initial hello, how you doing conversation, the walls kind of broke down. So that was the power of the Coffee with the Cop initiative. So again, we look forward to having more of these initiatives in the near future. We also had an event held at the Booker T. Washington Center. Again, it was a meet and greet with the families to address the family structure with the police, with the law enforcement community. We also want to thank Sergeant Tom Lennox and his team for the excellent work that's happening with the Police Athletic League. They are in approximately 7 schools, and even at Bethesda Trinity Center on Saturdays. And we believe that the POW program is essential to building relationships, building trust within the community and officers. Like District Attorney Jack Danieri said, it is a two-way street. Like one side can't point the fingers at the other side. We have to both come together and acknowledge our own need to be transparent and have honest dialogue. And once we accept those responsibilities amongst ourselves, then we can move Erie forward. But if we stay in the shadows, we will never accomplish those goals of a healthy community. And we also had the National Night Out event, which occurs the first Tuesday in August. Members of the EPD and the SPCP Council, we went out visiting different neighborhoods, handing out stickers, badges, and just creating that bond, right? I think there's one thing we can all attest to is that under Mayor Joe Schimmer leadership, he's brought a human element back into government. Like he's tangible, and people sense that, right? I think for periods of time throughout Erie's history, that has been missing. So again, this administration under the leadership of Mayor Joe Schimmer, we are definitely bringing back that human element. So in closing, I would turn over to Chief Dan Spizzerny. He'll give you a quick overview of the presentation of the International Association of Chief of Police and his thoughts on our community policing efforts this year. Chief Dan?
Being our first year doing the SPCP pilot group, right off the bat after it started, it produced some great talk and response between the community and the police. But we didn't have a roadmap. We didn't know where we were going. So we've worked well together. I give a lot of credit to my command staff who've been great supporters of this and really taken the lead on a lot of the parts that have happened. Deputy Chief Mike Nolan and I were able to go to the International Chiefs of Police Association meeting, convention back in the summer down in Florida, and we presented what was happening here in Erie. Topeka, Kansas was one of the departments that has done the SPCP after us. There's other departments that were preparing to take on that same type of program. I expect to be talking to some of them in the near future because we discussed that we didn't have a roadmap. We didn't know where it was going, and we're going to let them know some of the ideas that we've done here. We'll probably learn some of the ideas that they've done in other cities, and we're going to try to expand upon it. SPCP committee, having a chance to sit down with Dr. Baker and have his diversity training on a Saturday afternoon was great. There was a lot learned. You go into it expecting the unknown, and you come out of it feeling really good that some great discussions were held. We're very privileged to have Dr. Baker here in Erie. He's done the diversity training at the police department several times over the past few years, including just this year where he came in and worked with the officers too. It's not something that's just designed for the command staff or the upper level. It's something that we believe needs to expand through the whole department. Coffee with the Cop and the PAL program, those kind of things. It's the outreach is just as important because if the community doesn't trust us and support us, then we can't help keep their community safe. Mayor?
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, District Attorney Denari, for being here. Obviously, Michael, thank you very much. Eric, thank you for being here and representing your brother. The community partners and the police serving on the SPCP Council continue to strengthen community police relations. We are realizing now more than ever that working together, we can accomplish much more. Strengthening police community partnership is helping all of us value and work to implement our city's vision, which is that Erie is a community of choice. And we celebrate our rich cultural diversity, our welcoming, vibrant neighborhoods, our world-class downtown and bayfront, our excellent education for everyone, and our abundance of family-sustaining jobs. We're not perfect. We certainly have issues that we need to address, but strengthening community police partnerships is a very important part of this whole process. Before ending today's press conference, I'd like to quickly mention 3 additional topics. First is the emergency alert that we did for this last weekend for the snowstorm that was on its way. We asked residents to comply with odd-even parking on the weekend, which normally you don't have to do. It was incredibly successful in helping our streets department handle the snow this weekend. It allowed plows to get into all the city neighborhoods on the weekend, which they normally can't. And in fact, they told me that within 12 hours, they had all the streets paved. I want to thank the residents for cooperating with this, and I want to let everyone know we plan to continue to do this anytime we have a snow emergency forecast for the weekend. Second, I'm very pleased that we've received 235 applications for the 13 expired appointments on the authorities, boards, and commissions. We really appreciate that response. We have reviewed all the applications, and we are now in the process of scheduling interviews. We cannot obviously place everyone, but we want to find ways to engage all who want to be involved in helping us transform the city. Finally, I just want to mention our first People's Supper event, which was last Thursday. It was a very inspiring and moving event. I wish everyone here could participate, but we're limited by space and the direction of the People's Supper National Organization. Thursday's supper involved 80 diverse residents from 4 different groups. We had African Americans, Hispanic Americans, New Americans, and White Americans. This group will participate in a series of suppers now until June. The diversity in the room was beautiful and the energy was palpable. It reinforced my belief that Erie's diversity is our greatest strength and that we must harness that energy and work together to eliminate racism and prejudice. The People's Supper participants were either equity, inclusion, and diversity officers within their organizations or in positions where they can help us implement project ideas that come out of these dinners. My team and I are on an incredible high and look forward to 6 more suppers over the next several months. There will be a big community celebration dinner in June. We'd like as many people as possible to attend, to hear the plans that the group is developing, and also offer ideas on how to make those plans better. We'd like to have a couple hundred people at the community celebration dinner. We will include as many as possible, but there will be obviously limitations on the number we can include. If you'd like to be considered as an invitee for the June celebration, please contact Michael Outlaw. Send him an email at moutlaw@erie.pa.us as soon as possible. That wraps up today's press conference. Everyone that presented will be available for interviews afterwards. Thanks very much for being here.